Hey everyone, Mike here from MLive.com, joined by Justin Rogers. Big news today is the Lions are heading back to London next year, Justin. Second time in a row. They're one of three teams who will be doing that next year. It's the first time that's happened. And what's your take on that?
Didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I figured with the amount of teams in the NFL that there would be a healthy rotation. Lions wouldn't be back overseas for 3 or 4 years, but here they are. The good news is from an organizational standpoint is they'll be the away team. So fans are going to get to keep their 8 home games at Ford Field. They avoid playing at Arrowhead, which is one of the noisiest, if not the noisiest stadium in the NFL. Great fan base in Kansas City. So I see it as a positive. But you were there. Yeah,
it was, and it was a great experience for the team, for the fans. There was a win out of it, and you got the Falcons away from the Georgia Dome, and now you're getting the Chiefs away from Arrowhead. That's a competitive advantage, if you will, and forget all of the fanfare and all the intangibles that go into a trip like this. This is good for football, and I saw, I know some fans are upset by it or reluctant about it, One time's kind of a novelty, maybe 2 times is too much, and I get that maybe a little bit, but it's a fun experience. I think most of the players in the end they enjoyed the experience, and it's good for football because you get these guys away from an oppressive type environment, which you would have at Arrowhead.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do a 9:30 start time. That hasn't been announced yet, but Kansas City is the one team not in a Eastern time zone of the 6 traveling there. Seems like it would be a worse decision to have an early start time the further west the teams are in the United States. So, I think this will be a more traditional start time. And, I looked a little bit at the history of teams that travel to London and their success and failure after, and there's really no correlation. I believe the Giants won the Super Bowl the year they went. Good teams stayed good, bad teams stayed bad generally. There was a few anomalies, but it's not an excuse for a season tanking. So I don't know why fans would be too upset about it. If the team's on the road anyway, what do you care?
I know C.J. Mosley was suspended on the last trip to London, but aside from that, I really think the Lions enjoyed the trip, and I think Jim Caldwell found it to be beneficial for the team. The Lions are one of the few teams in the NFL that don't travel for their training camp, and so something like that, in college, guys, they hang out a lot together. They're in the same age bracket. They have similar incomes or lack thereof. Most of them are single, so it's very conducive to hanging out, if you will. That doesn't happen at this level as much because guys can be 22 or 32 or 42 if you're Jason Hansen. All kinds of brackets of wealth, different. They have families and kids and stuff, and so when you're outside this building, they don't hang out as much. There's not as much of that going on. You go to London, these guys are quarantined together for 5 or 6 days, and there's some team bonding that goes on, and that is something a lot of teams get when they have training camp away from their site. Lions don't have that. And I think Jim Caldwell really appreciated that component of it, and so he really didn't say very much today about this whole trip, but I think he is probably in favor of it and some of the intangibles that come with getting away.
And it might not mean much to fans here, but for the team, it's a branding opportunity. They're becoming, or they have an opportunity to become a fan favorite in London, in Europe, however far that reach goes over there. And it's a small thing, but it does pour more dollars into the coffers.
Something to watch, certainly, going into next year, and I think it's a good break for a team that has to go to Seattle. It'll be a tough game. They go all the way to San Diego. There's going to be a lot of miles put on this team next year, but I think getting away from Kansas City is a good thing for this team.
Couldn't have landed a better bye week either.
For sure.
Always a favorable to get that mid-season bye.
Right, and we're seeing that this week with just how beat up they are to get it in Week 9. It's a big boost for the Lions, who are pretty much at full strength now, aside from Nick Fairley.
Pretty close.
For Justin Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We are MLive. Keep it right here.